so those were the UI selectors, which is basically really good for forms in the current state of your UI. But you can also target elements based on where they're located within the DOM. So we are given these selectors. These we have nth child, last of type, first of type, only of type. So you can do it from the beginning, which is nth child from the top down, or nth last child. So these will target elements based on their relationship to other DOM nodes within the page. And it's basically not just other DOM nodes, it's within the same parent. So when you have a new parent that starts, like you have a div, you know, the body is the parent, and then you have a div. So if you're talking about the paragraphs on the page, it'll be the paragraphs within that div, not within the whole body. So it's always within its, just within its one parent. And the cool thing with these is, like, has anyone ever done a stripe table, like with one line gray, the next line white? Show of hands. I should just ask who hasn't done that. So the thing is, you might have been doing it up to this point by, in your backend code, or using jQuery, to say every other row add the class of even, and every row add the class of odd. So you add a row, right? And then you're like, shit, was that an even row or an odd row? I don't know, I have to recount all of them. Or you sort. You have to add the class back into all of them. No more, my friends. Let's show you. I'm first going to start with going over these, which is not quite as exciting, but this will help you understand them, because a lot of people don't understand the difference between of type and child. So I'm going to do this in its own page. And I'm going to do font style italic, color red, and text decoration underline, just to make it really obvious what I'm talking about. Okay, so here it says star, right? Let's just change that to first of type. So does anyone know why that hit everything?
Can you specify type?
Because body is the first of its type. If I had done first child, it would not hit everything, because body is not the first child of its parent. It's the first of its type within its parent, but it is not the first child. So this first element here, it matches that because it is the first div on the page. And so these things are inherited from the parent. It's not like it's targeting everything here. But here, this is the first child. This paragraph is the first child of the div. And that is why it's it has the CSS attached to it. Here it's an H1, and there, the last one is an H1. Now if I did last child, it would match everything, because body is the last child of its parent, right? So let's just put body in here, so it stops matching the body. And here it's matched the last paragraph, the last paragraph, the last paragraph, and here it matched the H1, which happens to be the first and the last child of its parent. So, last of type. So when I do last of type, it matches this H1, because starting from the bottom of this div, it is the last of its type. It's the last H1. So someone asked me about performance. First of type is much more performant than last of type, because what happens is you have to the browser has to figure out which one is the last one and then count back from the bottom. Whereas when you do first of type, it sees the first one and then it stops looking. But again, you're talking micromilliseconds. I don't know if micromilliseconds is a word. It should be microseconds. I don't know. Less than a millisecond. So you don't want to abuse it, but feel free to use it. So last of type. So let's do P, last of type. That matches every single last P. And that's not a really good example, because, so let's just do first of type. Sometimes I want to prove something and then I realize that my example is not proving anything whatsoever. So first of type is the first paragraph within the div on each one of these, right? Doesn't matter if it's the first thing or not. If it was first child, it would have only matched this one. And let's just prove that with first child. So do you guys get the difference between child and type? Is that confusing anymore to anyone? Usually I go spend like 10 minutes on first child and first of type because people are like, I still don't get it. But you guys are really smart. Either that or completely asleep and don't want to react. Let's see where we are at. Oh, so only child. Only child will only match this one because this is the only one that's the only child. And only of type will match everything, obviously, because of the body issue. So we're just going to put body in front of it. And here there's only one H1. Here there's only one H3, one H2, and one H1. But here there's two H2s. So the H2s because it's not the only of type. OK, good enough on that. Back to our talk. So that's first, last, and only. And those things are shorthands for nth of type and nth child. So you can actually put equations in. So when we said first child, it was like doing nth child 1. But now we have nth child 3n. So what that means is every third one. So the equation we use is an plus b, where a is the incrementer, n is the variable, it's always the letter n, and b is the offset. I can't remember my algebra from 7th grade, so is it incrementer? No, there's another word for it. Anyone have kids that are like 9 years old? Okay. Don't tell our teachers that we don't remember what they taught us. So b is the offset. We have two keywords, even and odd, which is basically 2n and 2n plus 1. Now, one thing with an plus b, the b has to come after the an. You can't do b plus an. Browsers don't support that for some reason. I haven't read the spec on that in a while to remember why that is. But so here, 3n plus 1 works great. 1 plus 3n will not work. So what does this offset do? What do these mean? Showing by example is much easier. So here we have this table. Each in the T-body, there are TRs, obviously, as children. So I'm targeting the TRs. And so the first child and the last child is going to be bold. And as you can see, the first child of the T-body is a TR. So number 1 and number 10 are bold. First of type, last of type, you get the same thing with the line through 1 and 10. Nth child even has a background color of gray. And as you can see, all the even ones, number 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10 are indeed gray. And then odd, the odd ones are white. I shouldn't lose my voice by 9 a.m. Give me just a second. Right now where I live, it's about 65 degrees and sunny, so that might be why. Not that you should be jealous, and not that everyone who came to talk here was from Texas or California, right? No one convinced you to move? Once you see the pricing of housing, you'll move. You'll come right back. Oh, not in Texas though, but in California, yes. Okay, so even and odd, we figured that one out, and then we have nth child 3. So unlike the first child or the last child, this is the third child, and as you can see, the color is actually gray here, which makes it illegible, but that's okay, because it's just for the example. This is not actually necessarily how you should define things. So 4n, what does 4n mean? It means every fourth. So 4n, it starts with n being 0. So it would be 0, which doesn't show up. Then 1, so number 4, 2, so 8. So it'd be 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. And as you can see here, number 4 and number 8, if you could, I should actually put a pre or something on that so it's more legible for people who are colorblind. And then 3n minus 1. So again, it transfers the n to 0 to start with, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Multiply that, we figure out the equation. 3n minus 1 would mean number 2, because it goes to 3 and then up 1. So number 2, 5, 8, 11, 14, 17. My math teacher in 7th grade would be proud. And make those italic. So the font's not that clear that it's italic, but number 2, number 5, and number 8 are indeed italic. So the thing is, I did that 3n minus 1. I could have done 3n plus 17, let's say. And then it would have said, okay, when n equals 0, so you start with number 17, and it would have been 17, 20, 23. So you really can target specific knowns.